والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر، الله أكبر ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر، الله أكبر ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر، الله أكبر ولله الحمد. Alhamdulillah, we are here in the blessed house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the second day of Eid al-Adha. And yesterday in the khutbah of Eid al-Adha, I mentioned the virtues, the excellent qualities and the praise of Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam as mentioned in the Noble Quran. And I mentioned that my intention is to look at the verses of the Noble Quran in relation to the life of Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So the topic of this brief khutbah and the next few khutbahs in Jum'atul Mubarak is the life of Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam as mentioned in the Noble Quran. According to some of the Mufassirun, some of the earliest incidents from the life of Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam are mentioned, or one of the earliest incidents is mentioned in Surah Al-An'am in the verses I am about to recite. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins this particular passage in relation to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam as follows. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. وَكَذَلِكَ نُرِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ مَلَكُوتَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلِيَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُوقِنِينَ. And we show Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam the entire kingdom. Allah says this, and so we showed Ibrahim alayhi salam the entire kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Malakuta samawati wal ard, of the heavens and the earth in a like manner. Why? وَلِيَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُوقِنِينَ, so that he becomes of those who believe with certainty of sight. Allah says in this ayah of the Noble Quran that we showed Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam our entire kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the heavens and the earth, so that he has certainty of sight, so that his iman, his faith, his certainty, his yaqeen is absolute. They say in the English language is that seeing is believing. Allah showed his most beloved prophets his entire kingdom, his glorious creation in its entirety, so that they would have firm iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so that they will be able to instill firm iman in the hearts and minds of the believers. And then one of the earliest incidents from the life of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, according to some of the Mufassirun, this is when he was a young boy. Allah says, فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَآ كَوْكَبًا. When the darkness of night then came upon Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he saw a star. قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. He said to the people, do you regard this as my Lord? Do you regard this as my Lord? Is this my Lord? فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. Then when the star set, when the star disappeared in the morning light, قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. He said, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, I do not like those who set. The Quran, see, we in this day and age, we come across atheists in this land, in the Western lands. Atheist beliefs are on the rise and they challenge the Muslims and the people of religion. So how do you counter-argue an atheist if you come across one? And many of your friends, if you go to schools, college, universities, places of work, when you engage in conversations, say, I don't believe in a God, I'm an atheist. I used to be a Christian, my parents were Christian, I used to go to church. Maybe that was my generation, your generation, some of your colleagues, non-Muslim colleagues, they may not have visited the church apart from a wedding or a funeral. But people used to tell me, and the people from my generation, that we used to go to church, we used to be forced to go to a church, now we don't. There's nothing that really strikes our heart. We're atheists now. We want to see proof. The biggest answer, the most clearest answer to atheist beliefs and to reaffirm your iman is this book, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ, Al-Kitab, the book. The book that answers atheists and the belief of atheists is this, the noble Quran. Look how Ibrahim alayhi salam, with logical deduction, logical argument, is refuting each one of the false gods. Stars are not gods. Why? They disappear. My Lord, he doesn't disappear. My Lord is forever present and he is the king and he is the Lord and the creator of the universe. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. I do not like those who said, فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. When he then saw the moon shining, the glorious moon. We see the moon in all of this light pollution, we don't really appreciate. You see the moon in pitch black forest, you see the moon in pitch black desert, then you appreciate the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation. You see the constellations and the stars in a desert, you go to Pakistan, India, Bangladesh and go to a village and then look up at the sky. Unfortunately, in the Western land, there is so much light pollution that the glorious creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is above us, that beauty is no longer visible in these lands. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. And then when he saw the moon, he said, do you say that this is my Lord? فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَئِن لَمْ يَهْدِنِي رَبِّي لَأَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الضَّالِّينَ. When the moon set, when the moon disappeared with the sun rising, he said, if my Lord had not guided me, I would have been amongst the people who are astray. He said, that can't be my Lord. It disappeared. Its shine, its glory and its light was just a few hours and just a few weeks within a month. You see the moon 2 or 3 weeks and then it disappears. At the beginning and at the end is hardly visible. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسِ. When he saw the sun shining brightly, قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. He said to his people, do you say that this is my Lord? This is the biggest of them all. Isn't that right? The sun, the glorious sun. You may have seen an image from astrology and astronomy. Nowadays, there's so many glorious images with this modern technology. And they show that the earth is like a tiny dot compared to the corner of the sun. It's amazing. I don't have knowledge of astronomy or astrology, but I don't know how many millions of miles away the sun is and how far the moon is, but I'm just referring to the Quran. And the Quran tells us about the sun, stars and the moon and how they are not gods. In the words of Ibrahim alayhi salam, قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. This is the biggest of them all. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَتْ قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّمَّا تُشْرِكُونَ. This is, and then when it set, when the sun set, he said, O people, I am disgusted with all of those things which you ascribe as partners. Do you think these, the sun, stars, just because they are glorious creation of the Creator, this is God? I am disgusted with your beliefs. إني وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا وما أنا من المشركين. This is Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam as a young boy. I directed my face towards the one who has created the heavens and the earth, devoted solely to him, Jalla Jalaluhu, and I am not of the ones who ascribe partners. I am not from the mushrikeen. He challenged his nation as a young boy. He refuted the false gods of the time within 3 sentences. There you go. The stars are not God. The sun is not God. The moon is not God. In 3 sentences. And when he came in front of Namrud, he said to him, Namrud said, the oppressor king said that I am God because I can give life. And said, my Lord gives life and death. He says, قَالَ أَنَا أُحْيِي وَأُمِيتُ. I can give life and death. I can free whoever I want and I can kill whoever I want. Then Ibrahim ﷺ, to challenge him, he said that my Lord, this is in the 3rd juz of the Noble Quran. My Lord rises the sun from the east. You rise the sun from the west. That particular logical deduction cannot be refuted until the day of judgment. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who rises the sun from the east. If anyone wants to claim that to be God, Namrud, Fir'aun and the likes, let them rise the sun from the west. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. Kufr had no answer. The oppressor king had no answer to the logical arguments of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Such was the genius of this man's thinking. And then I will very briefly, 2 or 3 minutes, I will mention what the Quran says about the sun, the moon and the stars. It's for those who are into astronomy and astrology, it's a fascinating subject, fascinating images. We live in a fascinating time. But look at the glory of the Quran. When you dive into the glory of the Quran, you see Allahu Akbar. Allah is the creator of the heavens and the earth. The Quran is majestic in its explanation of the constellation of the sun, stars and the moon. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Mulk, contemplate this. We look at the stars and think, oh, these galaxies, these constellations, amazing. And the scientists are engrossed. They say we found so many million galaxies. Now we found more. Now we found more. Our research is saying that there are endless number of galaxies that exist. Look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. This is mind-blowing. Allah says in Surah Al-Mulk, وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحِ. And we have indeed adorned, we have decorated the lower heaven with lamps, stars, and have also made them weapons against the devils. Allah says, all that you see here, all the stars, all the galaxies that you can visualize, this is the lower sky. This is the asman dunya. وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا. This is just your sky. I have 6 skies above that. Allah has created 7 skies, 7 layers. This is yours. That's all you can reach up to. And yet you don't even know the capacity and the grossness of this creation. How will you know the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the heavens and the earth? وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحِ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in relation to the sun and the stars, Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam said to his nation, أَلَمْ تَرَوْا كَيْفَ خَلَقَ اللَّهُ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا. Do you not see how Allah has created the 7 heavens, one above the other? And Allah says, everything that you see, all the stars that you see, this is Asman al-Dunya, this is the first heaven. وَجَعَلَ الْقَمَرَ فِيهِنَّ نُورًا وَجَعَلَ الشَّمْسَ سِرَاجًا. And how in them He illuminated the moon and made the sun a lamp. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's glorious description of His creation. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yasin, وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍّ لَهَا ذَلِكَ تَقْدِيرُ الْعَزِيزِ الْعَلِيمِ. And the sun, see, the noble Quran is not just the book of deen, of the book of the religion of Islam, not the book of just biology and chemistry, it's a book of astrology and astronomy. The Quran is the ultimate knowledge. It has knowledge of absolutely everything. Here, astronomy and astrology. وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍّ لَهَا. And the sun moves towards its final destination, i.e. the day of judgment. It is forever traveling. This is the command of the Almighty, and it travels with the command of Almighty. ذَلِكَ تَقْدِيرُ الْعَزِيزِ الْعَلِيمِ. This is the command of the Almighty, the All-Knowing. وَالْقَمَرَ قَدَّرْنَاهُ مَنَازِلَ حَتَّى عَادَ كَالْعُرْجُونِ الْقَدِيمِ. And we have appointed phases for the moon until it becomes like a dried, curved branch of a date tree. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the shape of the moon. لَا الشَّمْسُ يَنْبَغِي لَهَا أَن تُدْرِكَ الْقَمَرَ وَلَا اللَّيْلُ سَابِقُ النَّهَارِ وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبَحُونَ. It is not befitting for the sun to overtake the moon during the night, nor does the night surpass the day, and each of them is floating in an orbit. I read something fascinating, and I'll say, please excuse my ignorance and in relation to astronomy and astrology. I read somewhere that a Muslim scientist wrote that we go around the Kaaba in anti-clockwise direction, and I will finish on this. We go around the Kaaba, we do tawaf of the Kaaba in anti-clockwise direction, in this direction. We have our left side towards the Kaaba. Then they say that the earth itself revolves in an anti-clockwise direction. Then they say that all of the planets of our galaxy, they revolve in an anti-clockwise direction. And then they say the entire galaxy that we reside in, it revolves in an anti-clockwise direction. And then they say that the entire galaxies, all of the creation of Allah that we know, that we have contemplated and we have researched, all of it turns around in an anti-clockwise direction. In other words, the entire galaxies are doing tawaf of the Holy Kaaba, the symbol of the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the noble Quran. This is just a glimpse into the glory of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam. With their logical arguments, they refuted all of the false gods. And the Quran is the biggest emblem. The Quran is the biggest tower of light in relation to Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to learn the teachings of Tawheed. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our faith and our iman. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.